My name is Alex, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Like you said, I'm a senior software engineer at Zillow. Thank you, Zillow crowd, for cheering. I'll give you your 20 bucks later. I appreciate it. And I heard it, but I didn't see it. Who all uses filament in here? Yeah, there we go. Now, a better question, because you're going to have to come talk to me later. Who's using the Filament V4 beta in production? Yeah, no one's brave enough to say it. I know there's some of you. Well, listen, as much as I love talking about Zillow and about Filament, I'm actually here to talk about something completely different. And that is a tool that you can use to turbocharge your Laravel development workflow. And admittedly, while the word turbocharge sounds fantastic in a talk title, it's a little amorphous, right? We don't really know what that means. So before we go any further, what I want to do is take a step back. And I want to see if we can provide some context as to what I actually mean there. So right out of college, I worked at a small Laravel development agency. And as they do, we would go out and we would pitch clients and try to get them to, use us, use our developers. And whenever we did that, my boss at the time had a fantastic quote that he used to say to enlighten people, let's say, on what we as developers do. He used to say, "We make computers do computer things so that humans can do really human things. We make computers do computer things so that humans can do really human things." Boom, right? There's a lot to unpack there. Whether we're talking about product design, UI, UX, the ever-encroaching inevitability that AI will take over all of our creative pursuits, there's a lot to unpack. But what really hit me at the time as a junior developer was this idea of maybe I can take some of my workflow and give it to the computer so I can get back to doing the things that my human brain is really good at: problem solving, creativity, empathetic connections with the people around me. And so I went on a journey and tried to discover ways to do this. And as I went and I learned, I found that I really was heading towards one goal, one quality that I think, admittedly, we're all searching for, whether we know it or not. And that's this idea of efficiency. How can I do the most with exactly what I've been given? How can I build the most performant, incredible application without spending $1 million on server costs, right? I think we're all approaching this goal, this quality of efficiency. And as I searched and I went through every package, every language, for all the Linux nerds out there, every distro known to mankind, to try to figure out how to be more efficient, I found that improving my skills in one very specific area gave me the most bang for my buck. And that was the terminal. Now, I know, right? Some of us, like the 5 Vim users in the room, can I hear from you, 5 Vim users? My people. We should have a meetup later. Some of us love the terminal. We're in the terminal all the time. Some of us really don't like the terminal. And we only open the terminal to then write code, period, and open up VS Code and do everything else, right? But whether we're in the terminal all day, every day or not, it's an integral part of our workflow. I mean, heck, we have Artisan built into Laravel, and it gives us the opportunity to use incredible built-in features, but also make our own terminal commands. Whether we're using the terminal for something like our dev servers, our queue workers, that one random terminal we've all got stowed away for scratch work, you know you have it, I have it, we all have it. But even, let's say, in the last 3 to 6 months, AI has come roaring into the terminal. Claude Code is currently my favorite. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's great, right? But as we start working on more projects or more concurrent features, or heaven forbid, the project we're working on has 2 separate code bases, we can quickly start to look like this, right? And this is never fun. It's hard to find things. If I need to figure out a specific process running in a terminal, I either tab through all of them or I do the little macOS explode thing, and then I hold my laptop 2 inches from my face so I can read the tiny text. Again, we've all been there, right? We know. But what I found is that there are 3 main problems with this kind of terminal workflow, the terminal workflow that I used for ages. First of all, you're one command queue away from losing all the work that you set up. On top of that, things are hard to find. They're fragile, they're short-lived. If you hit command queue, that process you were running is gone. You cannot get it back, technically. There's other ways, but we're not diving into that. And the third one is that these sessions are not easily portable. If you start a terminal process in one terminal, there are ways to move it, but it's not really intuitive. It's not very easy. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about a way we can go from this, or for my VS Code friends, this, the infinite scroll of terminals. Yeah, we know, I hear some giggles, I know, we've been there. To something like this. It's simple, it's readable, the computer is handling a lot, and my squishy human brain can go back to doing the things that my squishy human brain is good at. Before we dive in though, can we ditch the slides for a minute? Can we just go into the workflow? We cool with that? Sweet, all right. So, here's what we're gonna do. Oh no, apparently my MacBook name's already in use on this network. So here's what we're gonna do. Before I walked up here, I have placed a very cripplingly bad performance bug in the Filament v4 beta. And all of you who are using it in production are panicking now. Don't worry, it's just on my local computer. That's why I asked earlier. I wanted to make sure there were no tears. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this workflow. It's gonna be fast, blink and you'll miss it, but I think it gives you a great overall look at how I would fix a bug like this. So first I'm gonna hop into Filament. I'm going to go check that my NPM server is running, and it is. I'm gonna go to Git, I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna create a new branch, let's call it Laracon. Fantastic. I'm gonna hop over to the wrapper Laravel app that I have around Filament to actually show my work. We're not gonna run these commands because we're not gonna be here all day, but I'm tailing the logs. I'm running my Docker containers, I'm running npm run dev. I'm gonna hop over to my editor, we're gonna open that up. Because I wrote the bug, I know where the bug is, but obviously this is the point where you would search for the bug. We're gonna look down, we're gonna see, oh, okay, there's a take your time method. I wonder who put that there. Ah, yes, a sleep 10, the most crippling of performance bugs. We can remove that. And then we can hop back up here and let's remove this because this is no longer a thing. We're gonna hop over here. Normally this is where I'd run my tests, where again, we're not gonna do that. And then we come over here, let's hop here. We're gonna add all the files. We're gonna commit, let's just say fix performance issue. Fantastic. And then I would push if conference Wi-Fi was a little more stable. And that's the workflow. Woo, yeah. Thank you, Aaron. That's the workflow. Like I said, blink and you'll miss it. But here's the thing, right? There's a lot of difference between a screen full of terminals and what we just did there. So the next natural question is, how on earth do we get there? Right? How do we get from 20 terminal windows or terminal tabs in VS Code to a single terminal where we can collect all of these things together? There's one incredibly foundational underlying technology that makes this all happen. And I'll go so far as to say, if you're a developer who uses the terminal, this should be in your tool belt. And that is Tmux. Ah, I heard a woo, we have one Tmux user, let's go. If you haven't heard of Tmux, which I guess except for this guy, Tmux is what is known as a terminal multiplexer. For our purposes, that's something that can take multiple terminal windows and the processes that live in them and squish them all together into one terminal window. So we've solved problem number one of it being hard to find the terminal processes, because now we can group all of our like processes together. No more searching, no more macOS explode magic. Now they're all just right here. On top of that, Tmux is what is called a client-server architecture. We should all be pretty familiar with this as Laravel developers. You have a server, you put your Laravel on it, you use your browser as the client to connect to it. Tmux works in a much similar way. When you create a Tmux session, you're effectively starting a local server on your computer. Then you can use your terminal, the client, to connect to that server. The nice thing is that even if those connections break, intentionally or unintentionally, the servers, the sessions, stay active. And all of your terminal processes run in the session. So now if you accidentally command Q out of all of your terminals, you're safe. Your processes are now long-living and durable. So okay, this is great, but it's a pretty integral part of the workflow. And I totally understand. I'm a random guy standing up here telling you to use this brand new thing. And if it's difficult to set up, none of you are going to do it. And I don't blame you. So what I want to walk through now is another live code example, but instead of just attaching to an existing session, I want to create a new Laravel session, new Tmux session, from the ground up. What do you say? We good? All right, cool. Before we start, a couple pieces of terminology. We'll go quick. When I say the word prefix, that is just Control B. You can make it whatever you want in the Tmux config, but that effectively tells Tmux, hey, the next letter I press is a Tmux command. Don't just print it to the terminal. Then we have windows. Windows are effectively tabs, and we have panes. Panes are effectively splits. You'll hear me use them interchangeably, but I do try to use the default Tmux terminology. Let's set it up. So we'll hop back over to the terminal. I'm going to hop out of the filament session, and I'm going to go to a project that I have on my computer called Bean Island. Yeah, I heard some cheers. So it's a little hard to see on the big screen, but this is just a normal Laravel app. Nothing special here, nothing special installed. So what we can do is we'll do Tmux, new -s to give it a name. We'll call it Bean Island. You can call it whatever you want. I tend to keep it the same name as the project. And you'll notice we're back in the terminal. With one difference, there is a large status bar on the bottom here. I will draw your attention to one piece of it. The rest is just kind of nice looking. It's this one ZSH. That's where you're going to see all the windows that I've created in Tmux, or tabs. That's why we call them windows and tabs, right? They look like tabs. So from here, in my first tab, I set up my editor. Vim, by the way. Yeah, man, I like you. We need to talk later. So my first window is always my editor. From here, prefix C, new window. I put my Scratch terminal here, and any server-related things, think Docker, NPM, and the like. So I can run this count up script, which I wrote just so we have something running, and then Control B / to do a left-right split, and Control B - to do a top-bottom split. This is where I do something like sail up and npm run dev. Full disclosure, those are not the default key bindings. I've changed them. We'll talk about that. And then prefix C again, and this is where I do my git, and I use lazy git as my git 2e. I love it. If you haven't used it, yeah, man. We have like one person who uses all of these. Collectively, we make a Tmux developer. I love this. I love lazy git. Give it a shot if you want to. And that's it. That is my Laravel setup. With the talking and the explanation, that took what, like a minute and a half? Not too difficult. Not too difficult. And what's nice is now we can detach and Tmux attach -t Bean Island. We can jump in and out of this Tmux session as much as we want, and everything is still running. If we look at this count up command, it's still running. And so I hear you. There are actually a lot more Vim users than I thought there would be. But for the folks that don't use Vim, you're probably thinking, okay, sweet, so what? Let's hop over to VS Code. Because when I'm in VS Code, admittedly rarely, and I open up my terminal, this is normally, npm run dev, right? You write your command in here and it's all well and good, but if you accidentally hit the trash can icon, you destroy the session. What have I told you? We can bring Tmux into VS Code. We can run that same command, Tmux attach -t Bean Island. And you'll notice, other than the weird stuff VS Code insists on spitting into the terminal, we're still in the session. The session didn't pause. The session didn't stop. It's still counting up. So now we've addressed the third problem. Because we've just taken a Tmux session we created in my terminal emulator, Ghosty, and we've opened it in VS Code. And if I want to use some great refactoring tools, I can open it in PHP Storm. We now have portable sessions. And that's incredibly powerful. Especially if you're doing something like chatting with AI, like Claude Code. You want to bounce between editors? Now your conversation follows you. You don't have to leave it or do the weird thing where you're coding in PHP Storm and running your terminals in VS Code, and it just gets nasty. We are just scratching the surface on Tmux, because truly, I could stand up here for hours and talk about Tmux and Vim, by the way, and Linux, by the way, but I won't, but I could. For example, if we want to add more features to Tmux, there's a whole ecosystem of packages. These are some of my favorite. Tmuxinator and Smug, they're what are called templating engines. It effectively lets you do what we just did to set up a Laravel session one time in a config file. And then anytime you open a Laravel project after that, Smug just handles it. Tmuxinator just handles it. All the windows are up, all the panes are split, and all the processes are running. No mess, no fuss. Saves us like 2 minutes every time. It's the little things, right? On top of that, and I'm a Git nerd, Tmux works incredibly well with Git work trees. Yeah, man, we need to be friends. If you haven't heard of a Git work tree, it's effectively a branch, but rather than all your branches living in the same code repository, or the same folder, rather, each work tree is a branch of itself that has a copy of your current project. What this allows us to do is assign a Tmux session to each work tree, to each branch, and hop back and forth between them without having to do the whole like get add all, get stash, move branch, get stash pop, you know, the whole song and dance we do when we were working on 20 features at once. We also can keep long-running commands, and what I think is the coolest for our vibe coders out there, is let's say we have 3 feature work trees. You could just set Claude Code loose on those things, and they're not gonna touch each other, they're not gonna like bounce between, they're confined to the same work tree. And because it's in Tmux, you can leave and go do something else. You don't have to babysit. Claude Code will just spin in the background. Now, one of the coolest things, and this is the latest edition, let's talk about Laravel Forge. Who was here for the keynote and heard Forge yesterday? Yeah? Y'all, my jaw hit the floor. Some of that stuff is wild. I'm so excited for the zero downtime deployments. That's not this talk, but I am so excited for that. One thing I found really interesting was this. You remember this? You can now access the terminal for your Forge servers from the browser. It's pretty cool. And up until this point, we've been talking about Tmux running on our machine. However, there's no reason why we couldn't run Tmux on another machine. Let's say a Forge server. So that way, if you're accessing your Forge server and your connection gets cut, your internet goes out, all those commands you're running, as long as you're running it in a Tmux session on your server, they're still running. And when you get your internet back, you can just reattach to that session and you'll be right where you left off. It's pretty powerful, right? And now you can use it with the all-new Laravel Forge. Da-da-da-da! So this is all great. We've talked about my workflow. That's wonderful. But if we really want to turbocharge our development workflow, and not like our collective, but each of your individual development workflows, you can't just copy my Tmux workflows. I mean, you can, but you're probably not going to get as far. So to help with that, I have a challenge. Step 1, we all saw this coming, install Tmux. Use your package manager of choice. It's everywhere. Tmux has been around for eons at this point, at least in technical terms. So you can install it from anywhere. But the real challenge, for the next week, use one terminal. Don't open a million tabs. Don't have a million terminals open. Install Tmux and use one terminal for a week. Run all your processes through Tmux. Run all your projects through Tmux. It'll take a minute to get used to the keybinds like anything, but once you get over that hill, I think you'll find that you're able to move a lot faster and you're able to use these terminal processes and Tmux to level up your whole workflow and become more efficient. If you're like me and you don't like configuring things because configuring things is boring and you actually want to be doing real work, I made a Tmux starter. That may sound impressive, but this is literally just a Tmux configuration file and some instructions. So if you don't want to set up a default config, that's totally fine. Go to the Tmux starter repo. It's MIT licensed, open source. Do whatever you want with it. Please submit bug fixes, because I'm sure there are some. I would love to have it, and I think it'll help you get started. It's sane defaults, good key bindings. I think you'll love it. I'm biased, but I think you'll love it. And with that, that's all I've got. Thank you all so much for your energy, your excitement, all the woos. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. If you take anything from this, beside the fact that I have an adorable corgi, you knew it was going to come up sometime. Yeah, there we go. One guy. If you take anything from this, it's that at every chance, we should be looking to turbocharge our workflow, whether it's with Tmux, whether it's with the new Forge updates, whatever. Because what we can do is we can unblock our brains from having to deal with computer things, so we can get back to doing the things that we're good at, the really, really human things. Thank y'all. Come find me, come chat. I'd love to hear about y'all's projects, and have a great rest of your Laracon.
You faked me out there.
Yeah,
You did the stop, the two closing statements. Well done. Here's your artisan jacket. Very well done.
It's like winning the Masters.
Yes, something like that. Thanks to the one woo guy over here, by the way. I was the woo guy over here for your workflow. Yeah, very good. So here's my question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
The common pushback on this is like, how long until I'm productive again?
For sure.
So what do we do about, like, obviously you're way more productive than I am, but how long did that take you to get there? How do you get over that learning curve? Because for me, I look at that and I'm like, I'm never going to make it. I'm just going to stick to PHP Storm. So how do we handle that?
Absolutely. It surprisingly doesn't take all that long. Obviously, there are the keybinds. You have to learn how to jump into a Tmux session, how to move out. But if you know how to use a terminal already, there's really not a lot of difference. All we're doing here is we're putting the terminal knowledge you already have and shoving it in one little container.
And then do you like incrementally adopt these other tools? Because like there were like 30 tools up there. It feels very overwhelming.
Admittedly, once you start using the terminal a lot, you start to fall down the rabbit hole. And I mean, once you start watching Primogen, who was here last year, you start to fall down the NeoVim rabbit hole, and it all just kind of snowballs. But you don't have to be a NeoVim lover to use Tmux.
And your Tmux starter is going to take care of some of that initial hurdle for us?
Absolutely. It sets some sane defaults. Like, for example, for whatever reason, by default, Tmux starts the windows at 0, which makes sense until you have to hit prefix 0 to go to your first screen. So I set that to 1. Right, it's things like that. It just eases the on-ramp a little bit for folks.
Well done. Y'all give it up for Alex. Good job.